What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk spinner rigging. Now it's the dog days of summer. It's been hot, it's been dry, and a lot of times the walleyes will get finicky in situations like this. So when walleyes get finicky, a good strategy is to put some live bait on them, and we're going to do that today with spinner rigging. I mean, what fish doesn't like a worm, right? So we're going to hook the boat up here in a minute and head out. We're going to check some deep flat spots. If you watched my last video, I got some information on deep flats, but we're going to check some deep flat spots. We're going to check some basin area spots, and we're going to drop some pins and spin back around on them and deploy the spinner rigs. So stay tuned. All right, guys, today we are going to be spinner rigging, but we're going to do it a couple of different ways. I want to show you a few different examples of what you can do. I mean, it's not just black and white. There's several options you have with spinner rigging. The first being your classic bottom bouncer. You let these down to the bottom, let them tick bottom, and you hook your spinner rig to the back side of it, and off you go. I think this is either about this is a 2-ouncer right here. Usually it seems like for typical what I'm doing, I don't know, 2 ounces is about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces is good if you're going about 1 mile an hour or so. But these are foolproof. Like I said, you let out enough line to where it starts ticking bottom and set it in the rod holder and forget about it and see a strike the tip of your rod. So that's one way to get your spinner rigs down there. The second way is going to be a keel weight. Now, let's see. This is a keel weight. You can see that. That's a keel weight. That's a 1-ouncer. Basically, you just clip that to your snap swivel, and then the bottom side of it, you clip your spinner rig. Now, you can get them in all different sizes, but I use 1-ouncers, and reason being is the ratio for the keel weights, because you don't let them hit the bottom. You let out a certain amount of line, and it'll achieve whatever depth you want. So, in conjunction with a keel weight, you need a line counting reel. So these are nothing special. They're very budget friendly. For what we're doing out here. But now when you got your line counter, you can see how many feet you let out and basically do the math and get the depth you want without touching the bottom. So usually, and I've verified it with live scope, but the formula is 2 to 1 basically. So you let out 60 feet of line, you're going to achieve about a 30-foot depth. Now it's not exact. I mean, so it's around 1 mile an hour. Now, it's not exact. I mean, if you're going 0.8, then it's probably going to be closer to the bottom if it's 32 feet, so it's going to be more than 30. If you're going 1.2, it's going to be higher in the water column. So you just you got to play around with your speeds. But generally, the formula is 1-ounce keel weight, 1 mile an hour, and it's 2 to 1 ratio. So, do with that as you wish. Now, there's 2 types of spinner rigs that I like to use that I want to cover. One is a slow death. It's got a little smiley blade on it. It's got a crooked looking hook on it. And when you hook a worm on there, that hook should spin. I mean, it should. It doesn't always have to, but it should. That's one of the presentations we'll be using today. The other one is classic. It is your worm harness, spinner rig, crawler harness, whatever you want to call it. But there it is right there. They got willow blades or these big fat blades, a couple of hooks, some beads, very simple. That's classic right there. And we're gonna use both today because I find some days these work better and then other days the slow deaths work better. So we're gonna see, we're gonna find out right now. Now, what we're gonna be hooking our line counter rods to is a planer board. Now, if you've never seen one of these, basically what they do is you hook your line to it and it'll carry your bait out away from the boat. You can do one on the left side, the one on the right side, right? But you hook your line to it, get it away from the boat a little ways, and it's got the tattle flag combo on it, so when you get a hit, you'll see something like that. You'll see that berry. So I like this size. It's a middle of the road. I can troll on Lake Ontario with some lead core with this size. I can also, they're sensitive enough to where you can, use them for walleyes with the tattle flags, that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to be using on our line counters to get the lines away from the boat a little bit. All right. This is our first bite of the morning. That off. All right, here we go. Okay, there it is. First walleye of the morning. There it is, first walleye of the morning. Now that guy came on that chartreuse color worm harness. So we'll get that back down there right now and see if we can't get another couple. Okay, so how I'm rigging the worm harness, very simple. A little bit different than the slow deaths, and we'll get to that here shortly. Very simple. Full night crawler, hook them in the top like that, near its head, or front end, whatever you want to call it. There, a little ways down like that. There it is. That's what she's going to look like. So, as I said earlier, for the keel weight, the ratio is, roughly 2 to 1, let's say. Going about 1.1, 1 mile an hour. So, get her out there, make sure my line counter's reset to 0. That's it. You feed your line out. Like so. I'll show you how to clip a planer board on. So, get the line up here. So basically, you want to get the back pinch pad first. I always get to put the back on first. Get it, there's a little nub. You put it right behind the little nub there. Then you move to the front pinch pad with the line. put it in there, but you gotta make sure that there's a little bit of slack in between the pinch pads. See how there's slack in between the pinch pads? And that allows that flag to go back and forth. If that's completely tight in between these two pinch pads, that flag will not move with a bite. I mean, you might see something like that, but that's not ideal. So that's how you do that. You send her out there. Send it out, give it some slack. Let her drop back a little bit. Click her over. Stick it in the rod holder and you're all set. Okay. This is how to deploy the slow death. Okay. You want to get your crawler, you thread them right on. Thread them up the hook all the way. Usually on these slow deaths there's a little hook keeper right there. Get them up basically to the eye of the hook. Like that. And then that's it. You leave it on the shank and then pinch it off so it's got a little bit of a tail. It's very, very important to pinch that off. So if you've got a long tail, this hook is designed to spin like that. If you got too long of a tail, it's not going to spin. So you got to, chop the crawler in half or what have you, just like that. Then put it in the water. Not only is that smiley blade turning, but the actual hook itself is spinning, and that's deadly. That's why they call it the slow death. You see how that crook and hook of the slow death makes that worm spin? Exactly the kind of action you want right there. Okay, to deploy a bottom bouncer, just let it rip, go all the way to the bottom. Oh, we got a fish on the board on the outside. He's off. Anyways, get the slow death on the bottom, give it some slack, click it over, put her in the rod holder. Okay. Hope that camera's picking that up, but this is the rod that I have. It's just a regular spinning rod, and it's got the bottom bouncer on it. Obviously, you don't need a line counter because the bottom bouncer goes on the bottom, right? So anyways, as you can see, as we move along here at about 1 mile an hour, you can see the tip of that rod. You can see it bouncing around because that bottom bouncer is touching bottom. Now, I even think sometimes bottom bouncers, if you're fishing right on bottom, can be better because it stirs up the muck and the mud, and I think that gets them walleyes going sometimes. So all I'm using is a regular spinning rod. We don't need a line counter, obviously, because we're on bottom. Now, sometimes when the fish are suspended, that's where keel weights come in handy. Is, you could put them at any depth that you want as long as you got a line counter. So, and a lot of times in summer, fish will suspend. So, pay attention to your graph and see where these fish are. And you could be fishing a bottom bouncer on bottom, and then you could be fishing your keel weights at whatever you want, really. And halfway up or whatever the fish are looking like on the graph. So, very versatile combination, these two ways to weight down a spinner rig. Oh, whoa, there he is. All right. That was startling. He's gonna get me hung up in my other rod, I think. Maybe not. Get this guy out of the way. See what we got here. Little guy thinks he's huge. Man, I hope the camera caught how that rod doubled right over. Boy. Okay. Not the fish I thought it was going to be, but walleye nonetheless. You can't see it right now, but I got my Minn Kota Tarova. It's headed on autopilot heading, and I got it on cruise control to keep me around 1 mile an hour, which is awesome. But you definitely don't need something like that. If you didn't even have a trolling motor at all, I would suggest you just get upwind of where you want to be and throw out some drift bags to control your speed. I got one out right now just to kind of stabilize us, but you throw one of these drift bag. That catches the water, slows you right down. And you use 1, 2, 3, whatever you need to slow you right down. And if you got your drift bags out, then you can use your bottom bouncers and have a couple bottom bouncers over the side, whether you're going straight or sideways with the wind, depending on how you set up your drift bags. But very, very key if you don't have a trolling motor with autopilot is these drift bags. Okay, here's an example of I wasn't paying attention and a fish hit the board. And the reason why I suspect that is because I can tell that board's running a little funny. Looks like there's a little bit of weight hanging off the back of it. And that flag is like almost wants to drop. So again, what I'll do is I'll take this out of the rod holder and just pull on it a little bit. See how a little bit of resistance, when you pull on that, it drops that flag? There's a fish on there. Never know. Could be small walleye, small perch. Who knows? Okay, we're on, but something small, like I said. Okay. Whoa. There it is. Little guy. Little guy hanging off the back. And if you don't pay attention to those signs, you know, you could be dragging him for 2 miles and you'll never know. And obviously, if you're dragging a small fish, you're not catching, you know, bigger fish. So. Man, I had that down for I don't even know how long. I got to check the film. I just put it down there. Wow. Yep. Just put it down there. I mean, we're rolling over fish, so I guess I'm not surprised, but. Feels a little heavier. Definitely feels the heaviest fish of the day, I would say. It can fool you sometimes, though. I mean, you know, you got 2 ounces of bottom bouncer on there. That usually weighs them down a little bit, but weighs the tip of the rod down a bit, but digging good. Come on. Okay. All right. there's the best fish of the day right there. That's more like it. I gotta look on film because I'm telling you, that thing couldn't have been down there for a minute or 30 seconds. There. That's much better. Whoa, hang on, buddy. We're gonna put you back. That's much better. That's a nice chunky little fish. Yep, and I'm out of worms, so I guess that's that. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. This was more of like a 101 style video. I know a lot of guys bottom bounce and use spinner rigs and keel weights and all that, but I wanted to make sure that you know, any beginners out there, I could give them some good information and good tips, and show you that you don't need to you know, need a ton of gear, a giant boat, all this stuff. All you need is a couple of fishing poles, a boat. I mean, you could even use a rowboat, right? A couple of fishing poles, a rowboat, and a drift sock, and you can come out here and get it done in the dog days of summer. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment, let me know what you thought, if you have any questions, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.